start. We had a couple of examples. One with defensive coach Jonathan Cooley, just talking about how Dave Canales has been working to build relationships authentically. Is there an example you can think of how he's done that with you?
I think from the beginning, Dave has come in and exactly what you said. He's tried to build relationships with everybody as quick as he can, and it's been fun for me to get to be around him. I've kind of known what he's done his time in Seattle and then obviously last year in Tampa, but it's all about building that personal relationships, and he's been trying to do that in a lot of different ways with a lot of different guys. And obviously when you're new and there's a lot of new faces, it takes a lot, but you can tell how important it is to him.
Cooley said he went to hot yoga with him. Have you gotten him on a tennis court or anything?
I haven't got him on tennis court yet. It'd be fun and probably in my favor though. So, but we've done some things. We've, as a quarterback group, and with Brad and Dave and everybody that's been in our quarterback meeting room, we went over to Brad's house and just got to hang out. All the families were there, so my kids, all the coaches' kids, everybody was around. So it was a chance to kind of get to be with each other outside of just the building and to kind of get to know each other on a different, more personal level and just in a different atmosphere.
He also talks a lot about self-awareness, and I remember Bryce back before Bryce was drafted having a conversation about that, and even Bryce stood out. Have you had that conversation with him, and how critical is that to building relationships?
Yeah, I think that's a big part of it all, and at the end of the day, the relationship is what matters, and when you know that you can trust somebody, when you have a personal relationship, you can connect on a whole different level.
Andy, you were at Bryce's thing on Saturday, which also coincided with the launch of his foundation. Did you get a chance to talk to him much about that and kind of, where he's going with that?
I was actually talking to him last year when he was kind of starting the whole thing, and I think with everybody, especially somebody with his platform, I've been in that position. You find where you want to help, what avenue. There's a ton of need all over the place, and for him to kind of get this thing going and off and running, I mean, he's did a camp out in California, he's done a camp here, and it's just the beginning for all the stuff that he's going to be doing. And it was cool to be at the camp to see not only the impact that he was making on all those kids, but the support that he had from the team. There was a ton of guys there that wanted to go and help him and support what he's doing, and just to kind of be back in the community. And so I think that just shows the type of guys that we have on this team and the relationships that Bryce has built, that so many guys wanted to be there.
Is this team built better for Bryce to succeed this year, or even you, than it was a year ago?
Yeah, I think what we've done this offseason with adding the guys that we've added and just the approach that Dave has brought here, I think we're in a really good place right now, and I think there's definitely a ton of room for improvement from what we did last year, and I think everybody understands that and knows that. But last year was last year, and we're moving on, and there's a lot of really good pieces in place, and right now it's. Everything is good right now. Every team right now is happy, and they're going to win the Super Bowl. It's where you're at, but it's the work that you're putting in right now that is going to affect once training camp starts and when you go forward throughout the season.
How do you think this offense will look different?
Well, I think it would be just a little bit different style than what we were last year. I think the big thing for us is we want to build an identity. And I think once we get to training camp, and what we're trying to do right now, this is installing the offense and just kind of get it out there. But we'll kind of learn who we are through training camp and once the season starts. And I think that's the biggest thing is once we build an identity of who we are, then we can go from there.
In layman's terms, how would you describe the difference in this scheme and last year?
It's a good question. I think where we're at now, I will say this, and this has nothing to do with last year. This is how everything to do with what we're doing right now. Dave and Brad came in, and they know exactly what they want. They know what they want it to look like. They know how they want to install it, and they have had a plan from the very beginning, and it's been known. And like from one of the first conversations that I've had with both those guys, it was like, this is how we're going to do it. This is how we're going to install it, and it's going to build throughout OTAs and then into training camp. And so from where we're at right now and to see just all the different things. There's a lot of stuff that we are hitting over and over and over again, but then we may sprinkle in a couple new things. And like today, I think was a day that we put some new stuff out there, where yesterday was a day we were hitting kind of some of the basic stuff that we had done. And so I think there's just a plan of how they want to do things and where we're going with this whole thing. And so I think that's the biggest thing of where we're at right now.
So would you basically say Dan Morgan you kept repeating the word alignment, and it sounds a lot like what you just described, and how it's able to, I guess, kind of, the concepts are able to spill over onto the field. You've been a part of a lot of different teams that had different staffs, and how would you, I wouldn't say rate, but how would you describe how they were able to kind of marry the defensive staff that was a holdover and the new offensive guys coming in? I know that was a long question, I'm sorry.
No, you're good. I think when the whole thing was happening, you didn't know what was going to happen. EJ was getting opportunities out there. He was interviewing. You didn't know if they were going to be back or not. And I think for Dave, once he got the job, obviously his relationship with Dan and what they have had from their past time together, there's an obvious connection there. And EJ was part of this thing last year, and you could look at what the defense was able to do last year, and there was a lot of positive things that went on. And so for us to be able to keep him, keep the defense, keep the defensive scheme, add a couple pieces to it. And obviously we lost a couple too, but just another year in the scheme and everything, I think it only is going to allow us to be better because of it. And so the alignment thing from Dan to Dave to EJ to Brad, all the things, all those people, the connections that they've been able to have in their past, and also just moving forward.
Andy, what is Dave doing to get the most out of Bryce, from your perspective?
I think from the beginning, it's the relationship that they've built, and it's instilling confidence in him and knowing that he's giving him the keys to this offense. And for Bryce, there's so many things that he can do. He's crazy talented, and the biggest jump that you take is from year 1 to year 2. And Bryce is going to experience that. We're going to see Bryce do things that he didn't do last year just because of the experience. We're already seeing it right now. This was all new to him last year, his first OTAs. Now he's back in here. You can tell how much more comfortable he is right now than he was last year. And so I think that's the biggest thing. He's instilling confidence in him to allow him to go play the way he can play.
Andy, in your mind, he'll never say it, but do you feel like
But I will.
No, you better.
Right.
But did the lack of protection affect him last year?
I think that affected everybody. At times, he wasn't able to do as many things that he probably could have done because of it, and there were all different things that affected it all in the protection. It wasn't one guy scheme, like there was all the different stuff that went on. But the experience of him having that last year will be great for him going into this next year.
Dave mentioned a few weeks ago, like wanting Will to kind of take Bryce back to the super basics. Like, this is how you line up a shotgun and take a snap. And he said, we're going to make Andy do it too. Does that feel a little bit like whiplash going into your 14th year to go back to rookie stuff?
Well, I've been through a lot of different off-season programs and OTAs and different things, and I've had off-seasons where I've had to do the exact same thing. It's just that time of year, you're going to start back from square one and learn how to take a drop from under center, learn how to take a drop from the gun, even stuff that you would think is, okay, I've done this my whole life. But that's what this time of year, you've got the time to do it, so you might as well start from the very beginning.
I understand what you said about Bryce, super talented and everything, but there have been a lot of super talented young quarterbacks that have been ruined by a bad rookie year. What have you seen in Bryce that makes you believe that maybe he hasn't lost the confidence, and that he can take it that next jump that they usually, often take that second year?
Yeah, I just think the type of person that Bryce is, there's a lot of guys that it has affected, and there's also a lot of guys that it sprung them into their career. think Peyton Manning's still looking for somebody to break his interception record. And he's been saying it every year, every time there's a draft. You know, there's one record that he would be happy for somebody to break. So, yeah, the best thing that you can do is have the experience of being out there. And Bryce got that last year. And this year's, we're still unknown. We don't know what's going to happen, but it's set up for Bryce to take a big jump.
Any personal experience you shared of yours that you feel like may help him with that?
Yeah, I mean, he's already doing it, and you see him just with how comfortable he is right now and everything that we're doing. Being in front of the team, calling up the offense, and just speaking wisdom over, hey, let's be intentional with today's practice. There's all the little things that a year ago, you're the new guy, you're in the huddle and in the building with a lot of new faces, with guys that are a lot older than you, and you're thrust into that quarterback leadership position, and now it's way easier for him because he's already experienced it all.
Julius Peppers going into the Hall of Fame here pretty quick. I was just curious, had you played against him? I don't remember if you had or not, but what was it like playing against him?
Yeah, we opened up against Chicago in, I think it was 13. And I remember walking out for the coin toss, and I was like, that guy is different than everybody else on this field. And so what a heck of a career he's had. It's well-deserved, and it was only a matter of time for him to get into the Hall of Fame.
Was it a little bit fear factor if he was going off the edge? Or?
Yeah, there's a couple times, and then when he came back here and we played the Panthers, we had a protection where the tight end was supposed to go backside and block him, and I'm like, please, let's get your job done. Luckily he did, but yeah, there was always okay, where's he at? And he wasn't hard to find.